Can you guys hear me?
Hey Pete. Yeah, we can. How you
Okay.
doing?
I don't know if you saw my email. I was laughing. I was sitting in Microsoft Teams. I'm like, what is taking these guys so long?
Oh,
I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. Sorry
uh-oh.
about that. I apologize. Like, I'm like, that's weird. They're usually pretty timely. And then I looked over and I'm like, wait a minute, Teams. So, anyways, sorry about that. I
No, no
apologize.
problem.
It happens.
Other than that, how's your day starting?
Not bad. Not bad at all. John's out today. He had some dentistry or something that had to happen. So I think you guys were aware of that, but just so you know. But yeah. Um, yeah, how can I help? What's up?
Yeah. Let me just bring up the uh Dave, do you want to start first or you want me to start?
Yeah, I can start. Yeah,
Okay.
main thing um is we did review the thorough document that you did for the segmentation.
Yep.
That's super helpful, by the way.
Good.
I think that's really going to equip our team to understand the the various segments and how they differ. So that's going to make sure that we really get our content and what we say to them much more accurate and on target, so it doesn't waste their time and it really resonates.
I
Um,
did commercial and I did the city. I separated them, as I'm sure you saw. And there's a lot of overlap for like just admins and stuff like that. But the one that I didn't do is general contractors. I don't know if that matters. I don't remember if we're, I mean, general contractors are not property managers. They would be more of a project manager. I mean, I don't know. If you need me to do more, just let me know, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, at some point we can get, too narrowly focused, I think.
Okay.
So I think what we have is sufficient. I did want to clarify just a few things on
Sure.
our end. And
Yeah, no problem.
I did see that you have, so we have the executives, commercial, non-residential, and then that's what we went over last time. And then you added an executive residential high rise, not commercial, correct? That's
Yeah, they
So
basically,
those are both executives, but one is residential and one is commercial. Is that?
yeah, well, I did all three.
Yeah, and then there was two more under that, and I'm yeah. So what are the
So
others?
I basically just copied and pasted. And remember how I was describing it to you that I said that what I was describing was more commercial. And
That
really, in
was
the
for all three.
residential, it's different. They have a different bullseye and a different target, and they are a different type of person. So that was what I was after, was trying to
I
get you
see.
to see that there was a slight nuance there that would potentially affect how you go after it. So that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the two really big categories at the top are residential and commercial, and
Yep.
then and we have three segments under each of those.
Yes. And
Okay.
if you go to our top 50 that we had
Yep.
highlighted that we were trying to get you guys we were looking at,
Yep.
the majority of those fall into those two categories. That's why I spent
Yep.
the time there.
Okay.
The property management, we called it, I think was what we called this: First Service, Associate, Chicagoland, Chicago
Mhm.
Property. There's Sudler, Community Specialists. Those would all fall underneath this downtown Chicago. Those are multi, let's see, they're residential, but they're multi-residential sites. They're not single
Mhm.
family, right? And then the
Yeah.
commercial is the other one. That's the Hiffman, Cabot, Colliers, Cushman, all those ones. That would fall there. The only one I did not, like I said, I didn't do for you was the general contractors and the designers. General contractors are like somebody who constructs stuff. They do work. They
Yep.
physically do work. So they're a very different animal. I can, if you want me to, go through that. And designers, same thing. The designers, to be honest with you, are perhaps the one that could give us the most amount of winter work and interior work. Because usually what they do is they'll glob onto a property management company in the city, not commercial. So they'd glob onto a high rise, for example, and they would get a RFP together to do the carpeting, the painting, the wall covering, the lighting for 60 stories of a high rise. And so
Mm.
you can imagine that's a $400,000 job for us. So if you want me to do designers and general contractors, let me know and I can add that to the list. It's not a problem.
Okay. I think while you're in this frame of mind, let's just go ahead and get it down.
Okay.
Um, because in my next question, I guess from an overarching kind of standpoint, is going to be, and I is the 80/20 rule, right? So if we were to target 20% of these to get 80% of the result, um, which would be we can't target everybody equally.
Yeah.
So we can't develop, well, I mean we can, but what we're scoped for in the time frame and the amount of
Yes. Yes.
resources,
Yes.
Um,
So what I would just say, very, very high level, the property management silo that's downtown Chicago is probably the least tapped of what ours are. There's enormous amounts of potential there, and we do very little. I mean, I would say we get under 5% of that market. That's where we're at right now. I mean, and the majority of the work that we do in the city is actually through general contractors. But I wouldn't consider them these types of general contractors. We work on a building like we've talked about before for first service residential through a masonry contractor, and then they meet us and they might even allow us to do some other work. Other than that, there's very little direct to many of these. So that is a very highly untapped market for us.
okay.
Um, it's saturated more though than commercial, which makes it difficult. But it's highly untapped. The commercial industrial is a little less saturated, and we are for sure like that's our bread and butter. So those may be lower hanging fruit because everybody knows of us. We're considered to be some of the best in the industry for sure in that market. Um, we probably have, you know, 30 to 50% of that market, maybe. So we have a good chunk of that already. That's what that is. The general contractors is probably the hardest out of that entire thing. It may be the lowest because they're difficult to get in with. Some of them are just price hounds. That's all they're concerned about, and they're very difficult to get in with. But they can be repeat business, and they can be year round and winter work. The designers is probably the whales of the market. Although I don't even know that we have them all right. There's probably more than that. Paul was just dropping off some stuff for St. Patty's Day, and one of the guys from Gooch Design just responded back and said, "Hey, you just dropped off Yetis. Thanks for doing that. Here's a bid." So he gave us a bid, and
Wow.
Paul's like, "How do I know if these are even the right people?" I said, what we need to do next is figure out who he bids against for those jobs, because then we'll know who are more of those people. But that's another one that's just a swing for the fences whale possibility because they could take out our winter. So hopefully that explains the four categories for you, Beth.
That does. So it sounds to me like the designers would be kind of if we're looking at, one of our stated goals is to help you fill in the gaps for the winter.
Yeah.
It seems like those designers and targeting something specific for them to try to get a couple of those nailed down by the winter would be a really big win. Is that correct?
Yeah, I probably need to spend a little bit more time and make sure that list is accurate because we got three of them in there, I think, for you, or three or four.
Yep.
And I don't, I have no idea whether that's the people that those are the right people to be going after.
Okay.
Not positive, to be honest with you.
Okay. So I would say yes, the designers, that is a good target. And then it sounds like the second one would be, excuse me, um, the downtown Chicago residential property managers. Is
Yeah,
that what you're saying?
I guess. Yeah, probably.
Would that also provide a good bit of inside work if you get in with them as
Yeah,
well? Yeah.
yeah, because sometimes they'll say, "Hey, I've hired this designer to do these corridors or
Yep.
these hallways this winter. I'm gonna pass your name along to them." You know,
Yeah. Okay, great. I'll give me 1 second. Um, as you were going through this, are there any clearly you spent some time and we really appreciate it. Are there any nuances that you feel like we should understand between these different segments that we might not pick up just by reading your responses?
Yeah, let me see. I would have to go back to that sheet and find that. Hold on one second.
Yep.
Um,
Just bring up the screen too.
yeah, I'm just trying to get back into it. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to talk through it if you think.
Yeah, if you just want to hit the highlights,
Yeah,
sometimes hearing you talk about it kind of
sure is helpful. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So at the top, let's see. I mean, we already talked about the first one, which
We
was
did.
yep, which was that. And you know, the second one was the decision makers. That was more the property managers. You'll notice I shifted some of the men, women a little bit. This one probably shifts a little bit more towards women. There's some, there's a, a middle class, middle age range. I said
Hmm.
sometimes they'll be literally right out of school. Like, so we're talking kids who have no experience, working up the ladder type stuff. Sometimes there's people that are in there that have been doing it for 10, 15 years and they're just happy with who they are. They don't really care. They're more followers than leaders and they'll stay there.
Hmm.
Um, so, in the commercial sector, usually people start here and work their way up the ladder pretty quickly.
Mm.
Um, it doesn't take a long time. What I've been, because I've been cleaning up the system, I think I told you, I'm finding that a whole bunch of these people might leave and go to a totally different industry. So they go into this industry, they see if they know what they're doing or they like it and they fit in well, and then they'll either boom, they're out of it and they're into something else, or they stay in it and they work their way through the chain. So that's a lot of
Gotcha.
times where these people are.
Mm.
Um, I said they don't really necessarily avoid the social events. They're not as much. They're there more to insulate. Sometimes they're kids. A lot of times they don't know. They're being tasked with hiring contractors across all sorts of roofing and snowplow and general contractors. They have no expertise in that. So our expertise in helping them along
Hmm.
the line is really really critical and important. Like again, we talked about the fact that they're glorified service reps, customer service reps. They're to make their boss look good, to make their company look good, and to keep the tenants happy because the tenants are the ones who ultimately pay, their wages.
Hmm.
These guys are different. These people are very busy. They're like we said, they're stuck with con- all sorts of contractors. Some of them, like Prologis, will do $3 million in roofing this year. They'll do $3 million in painting this year. They'll do $3 million in landscaping this year. So it's like it's overwhelming to them to even try to, and that's why a lot of times they come to people like us who year after year after year, if they know you do a good job, so that's part of their problem. A lot of what they
I
do is for
I was
kids.
just say
Go ahead.
I was just going to throw in a little side note is that I never thought about it before, but the name Prologis is in my news around here a lot because they're building some huge industrial buildings
Yep.
along the interstate here in
Yep.
North Carolina. And
Yeah,
I
they're
would
one
have
of the
ne
largest landlords of space in the world.
yeah,
So
I would have never thought about it, but now that I've been talking to you
yeah,
and I'm like, I know
yeah.
that name.
Yeah. And there's a lot of companies like them. What's interesting about them is they manage and own and develop and do all of it themselves. So they're all in house, which is nice. So you're working with the end user, which is of
Uh,
value. Whereas
yeah,
with NAI Hiffman, you're not. You're third. It's a third party manager. Now that doesn't
gotcha.
mean they can't give you just as much as Prologis does, or even more,
Sure.
because they represent maybe here locally in Chicago, they might represent 40, 50 owners, whereas
Mm,
Prologis is only one. But Prologis, I think here locally has 425 buildings, for example, in Chicago. So it's
Jeez.
insane.
it's wild. Yeah.
So anyways, going back to that, so they sometimes they'll hire people straight out of school, and they do get people like coming from Duke and Big Ten schools, and I think I'm get they these kids love the golf, they love the party scene, they have drinking events, they have all that stuff. It
Mm.
seems like that's kind of a part of their gig. I
I just
said,
realizing this is my brother-in-law right now.
yeah, there you go, right? Exactly.
My brother-in-law.
Yep, there you go. So they're uh, they're supposed to visit their properties on a regular basis and kind of nip things in the butt before they become problematic. Like if their tenant is creating a mess or damaging their building, they want to know about it. So that's something we oftentimes will do too. Like if we were walking a building and we noticed that the railings are broken or something that's even not us, we try to point it out to them because we're trying to
Hmm.
just like give them advance notice to make their jobs easier. But
Yeah.
they're supposed to be at their buildings on a regular basis to make sure that their tenants are happy, to make sure that things aren't getting damaged, to make sure their property looks pristine, especially like when big shots fly into town, like the owners or the people from corporate, they'll go racing around their buildings, making sure they look nice. They'll have us paint
Hmm.
like railings and bollards and man doors and just little piddly stuff just so that it like pops and it looks neat. And they send the landscapers out to make sure it's perfect.
Hmm.
So they want to look good. They're they're big dollar people when they come in. I also said that they're the tip of the spear sometimes in the bearer of bad news, which kind of puts them in a tough place. They'll have to tell their tenants, hey, this isn't a part of your lease. You guys have to pay for this. And so it kind of puts them in a tough position sometimes. So it's one of the
Hmm.
reasons why they don't like to, you know, I don't know, add extras, do that kind of stuff. Scroll up a little bit. I think that we're really defining the problem part. Scroll up. No, the other way. I'm sorry.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
they,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So key phrases I said they're busy. They seem like they're overworked. They're spread too thin. They don't have time. They just want to make sure that the tenant's happy, unencumbered, unhindered. Sometimes it even becomes a problem because sometimes they're afraid of their tenants and they won't even help us. Like they'll say, hey, paint this building. And we're like, we can't do it because they won't move trucks. And they're like, well, I can't help you because they're so
Hmm.
afraid of their tenants because they know that they're getting, usually they help
Hmm.
us, but sometimes they don't.
Sure.
Actions, just kind of getting them to give us an opportunity, test us, show that cheapest is not always best. With commercial, it's easier to show them that cheapest is not always best than it is in residential because
Right.
for them, there's so much repeat business year after year after year. It makes their lives easier and it makes them all look good. And they need to pay for professionalism. So
Hmm.
that's kind of the key on that one. You can probably scroll to the next one, which is engineers, property assistants, executives. So the chief engineer is a big deal. That at times they can be like a big shot, like especially in the city, like downtown Chicago. A chief engineer sometimes is more powerful than even a property manager
Hmm.
because they've been at high end properties for a long time, and there are occasionally in commercial. Um, it's hard to tell because an engineer might be like a Polish guy who's got a thick accent and he's 23 years old and he's out back, taking the trash out and changing filters. And then a chief engineer might be a guy who's 65 and he manages a staff of like 6 people in his building, in a class A building. And everybody looks to him to get everything done in that building.
Hmm.
Usually they're still blue collar people, but they might manage that property. Like if it's a class A
Sure.
building, a 1 million square foot building, sometimes it's 2 towers and they're 30, 20 stories each. And that chief engineer has a lot of clout and a lot of authority. So
Okay.
administrators, they're usually the people that help with the RFPs, a lot of the documentation, they'll do the contracts. So they are still privy to what's going on. They'll help with certificates of insurance, change orders. Sometimes they're tag-alongs with the property manager because, especially in the commercial market, because then they're tomorrow's property managers as they all
Hmm.
move their way up. Uh, they're more concerned about just getting bidders, making sure that bids are turned in on time, making sure they're dropped into spreadsheets, making sure they understand that it's apples to apples. Um, not as busy as the upper people I have, less concerned about the money, more concerned about just getting them numbers. Don't know as much about. They're still concerned about customer service, but they're oftentimes they don't understand. They don't want to look like an idiot, they do not understand. Like they don't even know what painting products are, and they'll say, "Oh, we
Huh.
want 3 coats," and they don't know, and so we're helping them refine their specs sometimes.
Hmm.
Um, Key phrases are just we just need 3 to 4 numbers. We need to give them what they need, give it to our support superiors. I don't make the decision. Sorry, it's not my fault, not my call. those type of things. Like, it makes no sense to me. Can you help me understand? Because a lot of times they're confused. But we try to take the time to. That's one thing that helps us too. Is our bids are highly detailed. Some of our competitors will say, "Hey, this is 50,000." Well, we'll have like 30 items, and each one of them is $1, and it'll total to be 50,000. But we oftentimes get them coming back to us and saying, "We really like the detail in your
Mm.
estimates," which is helpful. Um, Action, just keep us as be one of the people that you're submitting the RFPs to. Give us an opportunity. I think
Yep.
that's next one. Next one, I think, would be to probably slide all the way to the city. Next one, if you keep going, there you go. So this segment, I just said residential high rise, downtown, not commercial, not suburban. There is such a thing as suburban multi-residential, and they are usually the underbelly of the industry. So there are some who do, like, there might even be some for first service who manage properties out in the suburbs, and they
Hmm.
might be like a townhome complex with 30 buildings. And there are large painting contracts there, but it's hard to explain. They're really hard to get because any Tom, Dick, or Harry with a truck can bid them. There's no expertise that's really needed. You just need a land
Right.
truck, and the property managers make about half the amount as the ones in the city, so they're far less professional. And
Hmm.
yeah, and they're usually bought by tickets and alcohol and stuff. It's kind of a seedy part.
Sure.
So um,
We'll stay away from that.
yeah, so in the downtown market, they're usually a little bit more professional. I have this written that it's like 70-30 men, women,
Hmm.
a little bit younger maybe, but well paid, not as much as commercial though. Commercial is significantly more.
Okay.
I said the key here is that these are city people. They're
Yeah.
big time into the city life. They love downtown. They take Ubers or trains. They're into dining. They're foodies. They're culturally more aware, politically more aware. Um, they still are well dressed and stuff like that, and sometimes even flamboyantly.
Yeah.
Um, Insulated, protected, gatekeep by gatekeepers, power to pick and choose their vendors, but they don't really always enforce it, especially here because the associations are in charge. So that's the key component here. In commercial, Prologis decides who they want to have paint their building. At the third party managers, the owner sometimes does, but a lot of times the manager even still does. So sometimes the owner, they present the numbers to the owner, and the owner makes the decision. Here, it's kind of more like that. Here, we're talking about, imagine that you live in a condominium downtown, the high rise of 40 stories. The board is the one who hires the management company, and they can fire them, and they often do, especially in wealthy areas. And they ultimately make the decision. They decide. They get the bids, and they sometimes the board members will call us and ask us questions. Sometimes they'll ask us to come there and even be interviewed at their board meeting in the evening.
Mm.
So that's what makes this a little bit more complicated. Um, and I think why the professionalism and the pay is not as high, because they're glorified customer service people too,
Yeah.
in a different realm. I just wrote more political, more socially involved, active, aware. Oftentimes, these people are aloof downtown. They sometimes their building may only have painting every 3 to 5 years, so we can be annoying to them if we're hitting them up 3 times a year. And by that,
Hmm.
I mean, like, it's hard to explain. So whereas Prologis has to paint every year, and they even have their buildings on a 5 to 7 year cycle, for example, but they have 425 of them. So there's always something that has to be painted every year. Some of these people, they're building, let's say they're an on site manager at a property, and they painted their balconies last year. They don't have to paint their balconies for another 8 years.
Mm. Oh, okay.
And so sometimes we're annoying to them and we're bothersome. If they're high end buildings in the city, they actually loathe contractors. They don't like us because they don't have enough parking, and when we come, we have our blinkers on, and they're annoyed by us. So it's kind of interesting, but it's like this. They need us because they need us to get done what they need, but they don't really like us, and it's kind of a strange thing. So I wrote that they're more salesperson than in the commercial business because their end users have plenty of alternative options to choose from, and they often sign very short agreements with easy outs. So, like,
Mm.
in the real high end, expensive places in Chicago, like along Astor and Lakeshore Drive, some of them, sometimes the management companies and property managers get dumped every 6 months just because they look wrong at a person who is a multimillionaire and they get pissed at them. So so they're constantly having to be an ambassador for their company and selling them and trying to get and they travel in circles to try to get these board presidents to like them and keep them. And then when they're there at the site, they have to kind of stick their nose in places they may not want to because they have to keep these people happy. Even the
Mhm.
property managers have to do that. So they have less power than commercial managers do. That's thus the reason why they're paid less. They do look at like social events like trade shows and associations. They like to speak at these events, so it makes them look more professional. So a lot of
Mhm.
times that's how they'll become ambassadors. They speak at the events. They're the keynote speakers and stuff like that, and the association see them and they want that company. Um, Problem for them is I think they same thing. They don't want headaches, but sometimes they want cheap prices, which kind of stinks. So the associations want them to find the cheaper contractors. It's kind of bogus. And then the other thing is they're always worried about this keeping the associations, not losing them, and not because they're the turnovers because of the high turnover. So
Yeah.
and so it's more about
Quick,
what the board wants than what they want. So
sure.
um,
Quick question that just popped in my head. Do you do hotels and things like that as well? Is that
yeah, so we do, and that's a good question. The whole hotel industry is interesting. There
I
are
don't want to get too far off on tangent, but I was just curious
no,
about it. Yeah.
no. I mean, we tried to mess around with it a little bit, and it's kind of cornered by the union. Uh,
Okay.
and I don't know because the volume is usually high because they're interior jobs and they'll be $1 million interior jobs. They're huge projects, and so the unions know that and they have it cornered like there's no tomorrow. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, if there was a way for us to get in with some of these, to be honest with you, there's a lot of Indian and Arab and that
Hmm.
do one side of it that they'll have like four hotel like Hilton's, for example, but they're usually really thrifty. And so
Yeah.
there's one, and then there's another side that's like the corporates, so like the big Marriotts and stuff like that, and they're usually all union. So there's like almost like there's no in between. It's either one or the other. And so
Hmm.
we would slot more in the middle where we'd be cheaper than the unions, but we wouldn't be, you know, the
Yeah.
like the yeah small guy. So I don't know. That's probably a sector that we don't know or understand all that well, and probably
Sure.
because there's not people here that are corporate or local, I should say. Sometimes a guy
Yeah. They're run from
here,
somewhere else.
yeah, and he's
Yeah.
all over the place. He's got four in California, and he's got another seven in New York.
Yeah. I
So it's
think,
hard
and
to
then
find.
yeah, just another small question. Do you ever do like wallpapering jobs? Because I'm
Yes,
thinking like,
yeah,
is
yeah.
that part of your, okay.
Yeah, well, we do wallpaper. Wallpaper is a very tough industry to make money in. Almost all painters hate it and don't want to do it. Sometimes
Okay.
we call it a necessary evil, but in hotels, it's almost all wallpaper.
Yeah,
And
that's what
that's
I was
one thing
thinking.
that the have gotten really good at. They have a machine that's like a $40,000 machine. You just pull it through, and it glues it and cuts it and everything. So if we ever get like a really big like $1 million wallpaper job in a hotel, which is what they almost all are, we'd probably have to buy that machine.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I was just, that
No,
was
those are important questions.
yeah, just curious about it. You can keep going.
So, all right. So I think that pretty much defines this one. Again, the higher end people are
Yep.
more like the ambassadors. So the property managers, it's more so probably shifts a little bit more to women, a little bit younger again. They're mostly middle class, oftentimes right out of school because and they get bounced around a lot. Like they get bounced like almost every one of these management companies. Some of these people have worked for every one of them, and some of them, or they buy each other, and it's like so these people get bounced around a lot. There's all sorts of ethnicities. There's all sorts of ages. Because and there's all sorts of pay ranges because a property that has, let's see, that has like how would I describe it? That has like 80 units can't support an on-site manager. But they can sort of support a property manager, but they can only support a property manager part-time. Whereas a
Hmm.
property that has 800 units can easily support a property manager full time, can probably even have somebody on site, an on site property manager who, in other words, comes there Monday through Friday and sits at a desk in the front foyer. You see, so the
Mhm.
more units and the larger the building, the more likely it is to have an on site, and so that's the range. So a small like a three flat can't afford to have a proper an on-site property manager, may not even have a property manager, may have somebody who just sometimes they even call those self-manager board, and so the board will manage it and they'll do the
Mhm.
best they can to try to manage it. But the first step up is when the building is big enough to hire a property manager, at least part-time. And some of these property managers may manage 25 properties like that, like a little one. You know what I mean? Like it's got
Mhm.
6 stories and it's got, 40 unit owners. And so the property manager oversees it, goes there a couple times a month. You know, usually property managers have between 5 and 15 properties. And I think that's what I've described here.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they don't necessarily avoid the social events. They kind of like it. They are into the tickets, the golfing, those types of things. They do have the power to pick and choose vendors a lot of times, at least for the bidding purposes. Although
Mhm.
the associations are, again, still usually have the final say, and that's almost always they're out. Like, oh, sorry, it's not me who makes the final decision. Um, so
Right.
I've been at board meetings, and sometimes the board will say, "Hey, who do you recommend based on what you've heard here?" So yes and no. I would still say the association is the ultimate decision maker. Again, glorified customer service reps need to make their company look good, need to make the associations happy. Sometimes that's cheaper prices. Sometimes that's good customer service. Sometimes it's solving a problem, and it's not always the cheapest number. It just depends on what their association wants. And that's what's tricky a lot of times is we don't know the board members and we don't know what makes the board members tick. Some of them care about longevity, where other ones, all they care about is price. Um, yeah, biggest part is keeping the associations happy.
Yeah.
Yep. It's an industry that's oversaturated, so there's a lot of options. So the minute they don't like a company, they can dump them and they can move on to somebody else, and that's why these people move around so often and so much. So key phrases, I guess it's all about the board all the time. They're busy. They're exacerbated by catering to the board. They need to make sure the association's happy. They're unencumbered. We're not in their way. We're not a problem. Again, a lot of times, so at some of the high end buildings, they literally make us. We have like a workers entrance. They don't. You're not allowed to go in their elevators. You're not. I mean, it's like they like are so insulated from us. It's ridiculous.
Mhm.
So actions that we're hoping to take is just to hopefully give us a chance beyond just price to be involved in the vendor file and the bidders with the RFPs, same thing as the other stuff, but it's a little bit of a slightly different bullseye. I still think the beliefs and the supporting data is pretty much the same for all of them, so I didn't really change that all too much. Um, so what action to take? I guess, yeah, just give us a chance, give us the RFPs, see if we could show that we hold value by being able to help them, give them reasonable prices. Um, the assistants in this one are probably less important than in commercial. Although again, the chief engineer is that wild card one. Sometimes they have been at buildings for 30 years and are more important than even the property manager. If you could envision a building on Astor where the chief engineer lives in the building, he gets 6 grand from per unit owner as a Christmas bonus for because he takes their groceries up to their unit for them and washes their car, and it's crazy. So they're like considered the mayor of that property. I had one that we used to work for, and the guy had been there for I think 39 years, and he had a 57 Chevy that was waiting outside every Friday at day's end, and he would drive it around Lake Michigan to his lake house on the other side. And he was a chief engineer, and it was crazy. So he was the one who was the most respected at the property.
It's like the
So
mafia.
I know it's crazy, it's wild, and he was like some Romanian or Polish guy, but he had been there, and the building absolutely loved him. They were all wealthy people. That was the building. It's on Lakeshore Drive that what's his name owned McDonald's had a unit, and I
Hmm.
went in his unit. It was 2 full floors, and it had a winding staircase from one floor to the next. Pretty incredible.
It's awesome.
But um, Yeah, so for the rest of them though, they're just kind of admin again. They're
Sure.
helping with RFPs. They're helping with certificates of insurance, change orders, again, same stuff like that. I mean, sometimes getting in with them can help you get in with the property managers. So we always try to be nice with them,
Hmm.
or because they could be tomorrow's property managers, but it's hard to tell. Usually, again, it's just about getting numbers, making sure the numbers are accurate, putting them in a spreadsheet, and giving them to a board. That's really the bulk of what the admin
Hmm.
people are doing here. Um, and so not all that sophisticated, pretty simple. So I think that covers it. Do you have any questions about any of the people on any of this stuff?
No, everything's really pretty clear. I think I did have one question. Are there any nuances with the action that we want them to take? Is there, I mean, I know the overall thing is we want to get on their list. We want them to give you a shot or to, test you out, give you a
Yeah.
job. Is there any intermediary action? We've
Mm.
talked about putting together like a checklist. Um, Are there any additional information? Like, do we want them to get on an email list that so you can contact them? Do we want them to,
I
I
don't
don't know,
think
is there any other smaller, like, if we can get them to do the small thing, then most likely they'll add us to their list or anything like that. And there might not be. I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's like I think the reason that I've always avoided the city people, and maybe it's just me, I don't like to bother people. I don't want to
Yeah,
become the email every month, annoying the crap out
sure.
of these people. And dude, I told you already, I'm at a property and we just painted. So I'm not painting for another 5 years. And it's like, so if I just don't like that feeling of being like annoying to people. And
Yeah,
so it's more like just get waiting for your opportunity and hoping that when the opportunity does arise, maybe you just ping them at just the right time, which is part of the reason why I think it's so critical to have our solicitation or our we have to be very careful with it. We can't do it too much because there's our industry is saturated, and so there's so many painting contractors that are probably hitting them up with Salesforce that it's like how you have to be precise with it. You have to make sure it's right at the time when they might be going out to bid, which is why we say spring and fall like are key components. Like as soon as the weather changes, like sometimes you'd seen in some of my notes that I'm like, hey, the weather just changed. You're probably thinking about this now,
yep,
type thing. So that I'm not hitting them up every month because if you do, they're not going to pay attention to it. And I don't
yeah,
know how we stay in front of them without annoying them because like we said some of them are really highly paid and they're very busy and it's like the way I get in with Prologis, I think I may have said this at the very beginning. They were a different company and they merged over time. They changed 3 or 4 times. I identified that they were who they were and they did the most amount of painting and I just basically said, hey, when your painter retired, because I know they had a painter and they were happy with them. And that's what you want them to do with you is to have a painter and be happy with you. So I
hmm,
said, I know you have somebody. When that person retires or drops the ball, I'd like to be the first person that you give the opportunity to.
yeah,
And and I waited for I think 6 years. And they called me up one time and they said he retired. He moved to Florida. We'll give you a shot. And I did. And that was in the early 2000s or late 90s and I've never let go since.
yeah.
So,
That's awesome. Yeah. So one of the things that I think we can look at, as you said, you don't want to be annoying, you don't want to be bothering, and those types of things. So I think as we look into the winter um, time period, and getting these outreaches and things set up for the fall and
yeah.
late summer, I think the two things that don't tend to bother people is, being nice, giving them gifts, like you said, dropping by cookies,
Yeah.
Valentine's, Yetis. Like
Yep.
nobody gets mad at you for dropping off a Yeti and some
Yep.
cookies, right? And the other thing that people don't get mad about is if you come across sincerely trying to help them, which
Yeah.
is, we just, and that's a little bit where the case studies might come in if we can deliver. So if we're helping these people who want to impress their board, their association, their boss, and we say we put together this one-page PDF checklist that the next time you hire a vendor, this is going to save your ass, right? Like they're not going to be mad at you for sending them something that's helpful, right?
Yeah.
What they're going to be bothered by is if we're always begging, just add us to your list, please give us a chance.
Yeah.
But if we're just saying here, we're here to help. We've been around a long time. We like to do good work. If your existing vendor drops the ball, call us. We'll be there as quick as we can to pick up the pieces so that you don't get yelled at, you don't lose your job, you don't have to stress. If we just kind of get that message out, and then so if we're in, if everybody in your industry and in your region is really, marketing and doing all the sales pitches in the spring, it is going to be really saturated. So it might be that if we focus on some of our efforts going into the fall, there's
Yeah.
going to be less noise, right? And so
Yeah. Maybe.
you might rise up a little bit. So
Yeah.
um,
Maybe.
I I think that yeah, the main thing is just I think being helpful, being kind, and being sincere. Uh, People don't tend to get quite as mad as if they feel like you're being salesy and slick, and you're trying to like
Yep.
weasel your way in. People can pick up on that.
Yeah. And there's definite block times, like for Prologis, it's like don't waste your time from literally December 5th through February 1st. It's crazy. They're literally
Mm,
not even in the gym. They have so many parties and they have so much time off. It's like literally they won't even respond to an email. It's crazy.
wow,
So December and January are like, don't even waste your time.
sure.
It's just we laugh. We're like, oh boy, it's March. They're coming back to the office now. They're actually working again. We're like they're so well paid, and why don't we have jobs like this, right? Where we just take 2 months off for the winter,
I know.
right?
And then you taking time to go through this and explain all this to us helps us when we're putting together the marketing collateral and the materials,
Yep.
make sure that it's relevant to them so that it does seem sincere and we understand them. So I know it's taking a lot of time. But this is super helpful,
No,
and
that's fine.
yeah, and it's going to really make it what we do a lot more effective. So this has been really helpful.
Yeah,
Good.
Pete, I'm impressed with how well you know the nuances.
Yeah, it's great.
It's
It's
so
a
helpful.
treasure trove
Well,
of information
that's
here.
what happens when you've been doing it for as long as I have. So,
Yeah, just
um,
the little phrases that you use and stuff yeah,
Super
it's
helpful.
really helpful information. This has been
good,
great.
Yeah.
good, 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 good.
Austin, I'll turn it over to you. This has been
Yeah.
helpful for me.
Yep. All right. So just in general, as we were talking about, yeah, just so I appreciate what Dave had us do there. Because yeah, Pete, we'll be able to take this and even increase um the detail into how we engage, not just with these segments, but as you said, um, where's this at? Oh, I brought it to the other page. No, it's right here. These priority companies within those segments. Um, for example, like designers and stuff like that. That's very helpful, and we'll have that. We'll take this meeting, and this meeting will just be our basically segment master guide in
Yeah.
a lot of ways. So that was very helpful.
Good.
So appreciate your work in this. That lift, that'll be, I think, the largest part of your lift when it comes to that aspect for us to run forward.
I'll
Um,
still do the general contractors and designers. I can do that if you want.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
yep.
Okay. That'd be great.
Mhm.
I don't know that I'll
Um,
segment it into three categories. Maybe I'll just keep it simple,
That's
but
fine.
I can kind of at least explain some new nuances to that.
mhm.
That would be perfect.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, that's been drafted. This is great. We do just my team needs to update these segments, and we'll do that. Adrian's gonna be in tomorrow. He's out today, but he'll be working on those tomorrow. Um, then so that's been finalized. So we have that. That'll be kind of our master file for brand story refinement for the future. Once again, these are all in Basecamp, and they should be in those the documents and files section. We're drafting the March email campaigns right now. So John gave us access to Act. We had some limitations to Act, and I think John has.
Yeah, we had an issue for a day or two.
Oh,
It's a long story, but some people were deleted. So just make sure when you log into Act that you don't go into you go into the main one. I think there's a drop down. And I can't remember what it says. Let me see if I can find it real fast, just so that yeah. So you want to go to Act Integrity Act 122. That's what you want. So it will. Yeah, see if you click that drop down, if you go, oh yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
go
say,
back.
but back to that, you could. That's right. If you click that drop down, so there's a RES, which is a restore. Do not do that one. We're gonna
Okay,
get them to delete that, but at some point in time, we're missing some accounts that accidentally got deleted, so we went back and cleaned that up a little bit. So just
that's
disregard the
helpful.
RES is the key.
Gotcha. That's really helpful. Yeah, uh, Adrian will look this over, and he'll have those notes. So that's helpful. But yeah, other than that, we're drafting those templates. Real quick, would be helpful just to, in our short amount of time left, I wanted to just get your initial feedback on some social media templates. We have the initial draft, so might as well get your feedback before we move forward, make some revisions. I just wanted to get some of those. So what we have is portrait, landscapes, so that'd be majority LinkedIn. Um, Square, which would be the format, like usually that's Instagram, but that's also in LinkedIn, also in Facebook. That's more the general format. And then carousel, you find that in Instagram, and I believe you find that in LinkedIn. So
Yeah, carousels.
yeah, so this is the carousels. This is just a general template. No details. Things would be applied. So you would see this sliding across, rather than going down.
Yeah, do you know what a carousel is, Pete,
No.
on LinkedIn? So if you ever see like somebody on LinkedIn post like the 5 tips for, closing more sales deals, and then you can swipe left like a slideshow or a slide deck, PowerPoint.
See if I can find.
Okay.
They
Uh,
get a lot of engagement.
okay.
We've been running them for some other clients,
Yeah.
and the amount of people that actually click through is a lot higher than just a standard post. Of course,
Okay.
you're not going to find one.
Yeah. Of
You
course,
Of
I'm
can,
not.
course.
they'll
Yeah.
be there every time, and then when you go to find one, you
I
can't find one.
know. But yeah, the portrait, let's see here. So this would be more like it's a these are not like carousels, these are just a gallery,
Okay.
slightly different.
Yeah, see if you can find a carousel. I think it'd be helpful.
Yeah.
There's
Uh,
one. Yep.
there we go. Is that 12 pages? No, it's not. All right. But
You
yeah,
can
so it
obviously
has like the,
track the engagements, and then you know if it makes sense to continue it. Obviously, and spend the money to do so. Correct.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, and so and for the carousel, we would do things like, like 5 tips for, your next bid or whatever, we'll come up with a better headline, but
yeah,
just things that your potential audience would want to know about you.
Okay.
Other things that we would put together are like case studies, um, and then helpful information, those types of things.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is like just a general color. So if there's a one that you like that you see, I'm just gonna scroll through. I can stop and you can get some feedback if you want. But we're using your colors that you currently have right now.
Yeah, that's fine. You guys. Maybe one or four, I guess, seemed okay. One or four.
Do you like 1 and 4?
Yeah, probably the best. Yeah.
Yeah. So these will be the general um, layouts if we ever have like a 5 point carousel.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So if you like
Sure.
that's good to know. So 4 and 1. All right. So that's a general template for
Okay.
carousels.
Yep.
Um, and then square, these are just some options. These would be kind of like isolated posts. Um, so you'd see these just by themselves. They wouldn't be together as I go through them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be like 3 and 6 and 8, I guess. Maybe stuff like that. Yeah.
6. Yeah, I was leaning towards 6. I really like the cleanness. I
Yeah.
feel like white is the color that usually is used in most painting
Yep.
contracts. It's just like the clean slate, especially in
Yep.
residential. Um,
One thing to keep in mind is our website is not integritypd.com. I don't believe ours
okay.
is integritypainting .com or integrity. Let's see, it's integrity painting dash decorating. I think if you take, yeah, does it take it to you? Oh, it does take it to us. Oh, okay. So maybe we have three then that we own. But Integrity Painting, it works also for us, which is nice. If you just write integritypainting.com, that one also takes you to us, which is good.
Yeah, it seems like it doesn't flag it. The other one, it seems it flags.
I don't
Uh,
know why that is, but
it's like
anyways.
unsecure. But this one, we'll
Yeah, I
find
think
it.
in one of our early meetings we talked about maybe trying to help streamline that a little bit if we needed to. Or does it, or the one, there was actually two different websites. Did we get that taken care of?
Yeah, Integrity Painting was something we bought at a much later date, like just like a year or two ago, a couple of years ago. So I don't know. I have no idea if it was done right or not.
Okay. And then the Integrity PD, I think, was that this?
Wait, did I do it? Oh,
Yeah, that one, that's the one that got flagged.
this one.
IntegrityPD.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it says not secure, which is weird. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. We should just make a note to have somebody look into that.
Yeah. We can put that in the website updates
Yep.
card we have. So yeah. So you said I think it was
IntegrityPainting.com.
468
Yeah.
and integritypainting.com. Gotcha. Um and then this is like a landscape template. Um these be separate. So I'll start from the top again. Whoops.
Maybe two or three.
Two or three.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll go back up at the end. Two or three.
I
Okay.
can get, yeah, and we can get
Yeah.
you some maybe better pictures if you need to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, these are just for template based, so
Yeah,
we'll
sure.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah, if you have pictures, feel free. We'll always take more content.
We have a folder where we've been throwing in ones that look good, so we can share that folder with Zip It or something when the time comes.
Do you guys use Microsoft or you guys use Google?
We use Microsoft.
Gotcha. Okay.
Although I don't know what our media folder is. It's just on our server that has a gazillion pictures. So we could probably put those into a box of sorts. Or I don't know if Basecamp allows you to throw that
Yeah.
much data in
Yep.
there.
So just for
You could just create a
um
folder or something if you want, and I can upload that stuff to it. If that's helpful for you.
yeah, so I can create a folder here. You'll see it integrity painting and then docs and you'll be able to see these.
Okay.
Yeah.
How large will allow? Like, because we have quite a bit of pictures.
Well, what we do is we link it to Google Drive. Basecamp links to our Google Drive, and all of
Okay.
that information is actually the file
Okay.
sizes are all saved on Google Drive, which I think we have unlimited when it comes to
Okay.
Yeah.
space. So space is not a problem.
So
So
I'll upload at least one folder, like one of the ones that we've used for like websites and the website stuff.
okay.
So I can do that for you quick. That's fine. You just want to put in that spot where the docs were at?
Yeah, you could just link it. You can actually put it in the comments, and I can add it.
Okay.
Yeah, just drop it in, just drop a link to it.
Well, I think it's physically here on our site. So
Oh,
how would
just
I?
just send it to me in email, and I will update it in Basecamp for us to have access to. Like you can attach it in an email.
Okay. So zip it, right? What you
Yeah,
do?
zip
Yeah.
it. If it's too big, I don't know if you, for some reason, for emails, if it's too big, you can also use like something like WeTransfer,
Okay.
it's a free platform, website platform where you can just send things over that are larger than what you can send in an email,
Okay.
uh, and that can go up to like 3 GB. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And then finally, this one's just the portrait. So this would be found. You can use that also in LinkedIn. So this is actually your carousels kind of act like that. So imagine there just being one image rather than multiple. So this is portraits.
Oh, that one's kind of nice, I guess. Four.
Four.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue. So I've noticed. I think you like the backgrounds to be predominantly white,
Maybe, yeah.
and using our other colors um, for secondary uses.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, probably, I guess.
And I think white does communicate more of a professional look in a lot of ways that in today's world. Um, so it does communicate that. But you guys have good colors to use to accompany that.
Okay.
That's good to know. Great. Other than that, we're going to continue to organize those segments. We're going to begin organizing those segments, making sure we have that account access act correct. And then other than that, we're moving forward.
Okay. All right. If something changes, let me know.
Okay.
Yep. Pete,
Um,
thank you for your time.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah,
you
sure.
have something else, awesome.
Sure.
appreciate it.
Sounds
Yeah, I
good.
just wanted to finalize our next meeting. We do have that in 2 weeks. Same time. We're going to keep that consistent, Pete, unless you want to change it.
Let me see. That is today is the 18th, so that would put it at the
First.
first.
Mhm.
It should be on your schedule right now. If it's not, let me know.
It is. It is. I would say normally it would should be no problem. Only thing is that week is spring break for my son.
Gotcha.
Not sure whether we're going anywhere yet or not.
Okay.
Wonder if it makes sense to push it to the following week.
Yeah, we could do that for the following week, and we can just reestablish it. Keep that same
I mean,
cadence.
or if you just want to just that one time move it. I'm just concerned that the week of the 30th through like the 3rd, I don't know whether for 100% for sure I will be here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
get
in the same. I'm in the same boat the following week.
Yeah. Oh, are you? Okay. Yeah. So
But we can just play it by ear, and we can find
that's
a time
fine. That's
just for
fine.
that
We
one.
can't.
We can keep all the rest of them scheduled, but that one we
Okay.
might need to move
Okay.
around. That's fine.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's no problem.
So I just know my son was, we were supposed to go somewhere. Then one of his friends asked him to go. Then my wife and I were saying maybe we'll go somewhere. So we said,
How old is
that,
your son? How old is your son?
I have three boys. So two of them, David and Paul, work
Yep.
here. You guys kind of
Oh
met
yeah.
them. So
Yep.
they're in their 20s and married, both of them. And then my son James is a senior in high school, so he's 18. So
Okay. I've
yeah,
got a 18 and a almost 16-year-old.
okay,
So,
yep. So you know what it's like. So
yep.
they're seniors, so like they all want to go on spring break together and stuff. So they were trying to figure out that, and it's like, oh yeah, letting them try to figure out and forget about it. Terrible. So
Yep. It's funny.
All right, we'll play that next meeting by ear, and we'll let the fathers try to wrangle in the sons.
good luck with
Wish
that.
us luck. Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I'll stick to my two daughters.
All right.
Brother.
All right.
Okay.
Good to see you guys. Y'all have a good
Yeah,
one.
take it easy, guys. Have a good day, okay?
All
Yeah,
right.
you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.